Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about a sponge. We're going to be testing out the Velvet Microfiber sponge from Juno & Co. I originally saw Nikki Tutorials make a video on this sponge and then I had completely forgotten about it until I randomly got an ad on my Instagram and I was like, wait, this sponge, I remember it, so I ordered it. Basically, it's a beauty sponge that has a texture like no other. I really do like how they come packaged in these little bags. There's two different shapes, but I believe this one is kind of like the original. I'm gonna take these out and show you guys what it looks like damp and dry. So here are the two sponges, completely dry. This one is definitely a little bit more squishy than this one. This is a little bit stiffer, and I really do wish that this one also had a round butt like this one does. It's just flat. The thing I will say is though, just holding these is giving me the heebie-jeebies. Like, I'm really sensitive to like fuzzy fruit, like peaches. I can't bite into the skin because I cannot. I just got goosebumps thinking about it, and kind of like touching these give me that same feeling. So here's a side-by-side of one of the sponges, dry, and this is dampened. It definitely grows quite a bit. It's definitely a lot softer once it's wet, and it doesn't feel as like weird to touch, but that's one sponge. And here we have the other sponge, dry and wet. This thing does grow quite a bit. I'm gonna show you guys a damp beauty blender right next to it. I mean, it's not like crazy, but it is quite a fat little sponge. But yeah, I'm really freaking excited to use this. I'm gonna go ahead and just read a little bit about it just so we know like what to expect, what the claims are, so on and so forth. The ultra soft non-abrasive microfiber material is made with very small fibers that are smaller than a strand of silk and hold onto any liquid product. The second layer of our sponge is a traditional antimicrobial makeup blender. When these two layers work together, they create a fusion technology that provides the perfect blending using less product. Because the outer layer is covered with microscopic fibers, it picks up and locks in your makeup product so that it can be applied exactly where you want it, just like a makeup brush. Wet or dry, your products will blend easily and effortlessly with or without water. I will say I definitely do like the feeling of the dampened sponge versus the dry sponge. They're just a lot softer and they just kind of like grow, and I feel like it's just gonna apply a lot better than the dry. I'm gonna use it for my foundation, my concealer, and my powder today, so let's just jump into it. I've already primed my skin using the ColourPop All-Star Primer, and for my foundation, I'm going to use the Beauty Blender Bounce Foundation. I'm in the process of testing this out. So far, I really like it. The color does dry down a little bit darker for me. I could afford to go down a shade or two, but yeah, this is what we're gonna use today. This sponge, it's wet, but it feels dry. Like, it's so strange to me. It's very soft. I'm trying to figure out what this feels. It feels like like those fleece jackets. I don't know. It's very interesting. It's very soft. All right, let's do this. I'm gonna do a few pumps of my foundation. So like I said, there's two different sponges. This is like, I think, the original one, and then there's this shape as well. I might use this for like powder or something, but for the most part, this is the sponge that I'm most excited to really test out. It's like a lot squishier. I think I'm just gonna use the side of the sponge to pick up my foundation and start applying. Okay, right off the bat, I'm noticing that this is definitely giving me a lot more coverage than a regular sponge. I have tried this foundation with the sponge and it definitely shears it out quite a bit. I can still see like my freckles underneath, but so far, this has given me a lot more full coverage. Wow. It actually doesn't feel as weird on the skin like with the foundation. It just kind of feels like a regular sponge. In my hands though, like I do feel the velvety fuzziness of it. But wow. So there's one side of my face done. Honestly, yeah, like it does give you a lot more coverage. This is what my sponge looks like. I can't really tell you if it's soaked up a lot of product. I mean, you can tell that there's like makeup on my sponge, but I don't know. Like, I feel like it hasn't really absorbed a lot of it because it's like on the little fuzzy top layers of it, and it does look like a lot more coverage. And I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like it's made my foundation look a little bit more matte as well. Really like the fact that these are only $6, like super affordable. I think it's like really interesting and cool. So far, I'm really liking the way it applies makeup. They're not sold out as of right now. I'm checking, they still have them available online, so I don't know. I really like it, and it's like crazy how it just feels dry to me, but it's not. So now I'm gonna go into concealer. I'm taking the new MAC 24-Hour Smooth Wear Concealer. This is something else I'm testing out, and I've been really liking this a lot. Going back to my sponge, I'm going to start blending out my concealer. I have no doubt it's gonna do a good job doing that because it did a really good job blending out my foundation. This is just really interesting. Like, I actually really like this little sponge here. It blends out really quickly and effortlessly, I have noticed. It is a little bit chunky for underneath the eyes. Like, it's not like super tiny tip to kind of really get in there, but you can like squeeze the sponge and really get it in there, so that's not really like a problem. You know what sponges I didn't like or understand the point of? Those silicone ones. Like, did anyone actually use those to do their makeup successfully? I don't know, maybe I was doing something wrong, but that was just like a waste of time. I didn't get it. I felt like I was just spreading cream cheese on my face. This, on the other hand, like, you know, it's like blending into your skin and it just softens it and makes it look really blurred and like matte almost, but not like in a negative way. It just looks really soft and smooth. I'm also going to do some cream contouring. This is the Milk Makeup Matte Bronzer in the shade Baked, and I'm just gonna add this to my face, and I'm going to use a sponge to blend it out, obviously. I've been reaching for this a lot since my full face of Milk makeup. It's just really easy to use and it blends out really easily. We're gonna see how it blends with the sponge. Okay. Because it's so fuzzy, you can almost like even do like wiping motions and it doesn't like take off my makeup. Like, you can kind of do that and it blends just as good. The fact that if it's not like absorbing any product, like, I can't really tell if it's absorbing anything because there's definitely makeup on it. But when I wash it, I'll definitely check and see if like a lot of makeup comes out of it. I really did notice that my foundation went on a lot more full coverage. I use the same amount that I usually use with the regular sponge and kind of like shears it out a little bit. So hey, maybe it doesn't absorb all the product. I'm gonna use my Milk Makeup a Blur and Set powder. So I've really been liking this powder a lot, but I'm not a really big fan of the little sifter, only because I like to dump out my powder into the cap and like dip my sponge into it, and it doesn't really come out a lot. Like, you really need to, you know, hit it a few times. And even then, I don't get a lot of powder in the cap. Like, I don't really like to dip my sponge and my brush in the sifter because of like hygienic reasons. So that's like my only like little flaw with it. But other than that, I think the powder itself is really nice. I'm going into the same sponge and I'm just going to set underneath my eyes. Oh, I love putting setting powder into my eyeball. This is really interesting. Usually when I use a regular sponge and I press the powder underneath my eyes, I generally have like powder underneath my eyes, obviously. This, I kind of dust it under and there's like no powder. It just kind of like sinks into the skin. Okay. I'm taking my Benefit Hoola bronzer. I haven't used this bronzer in such a long time. I miss it. I love this thing, but I kind of want to apply it a little heavily, and I want to take like that other sponge and use like this flat side to just kind of like cut it with powder and make it like more precise. I'm going to go into my Benefit Hello Flawless powder. I love using this powder to kind of like cut my contour. So I'm just going to like run the sponge on my powder. Whoa, that picked up a lot of powder. Holy crap. Oh. Wow, that just like went on really smooth. Usually I have to like go in a couple times to my powder to really pick up enough powder, but that is enough powder. I feel like I can maybe even do the other side with whatever's left over. Kind of, yeah. Oh, wow. I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit. I'm gonna do like my brows, my blush and everything, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna go ahead and like dust away the excess powder. Oh wow, it almost doesn't like dust away as easily. It like really baked into my skin. I'm back with the rest of my makeup done. Went for a really simple look. Like I mentioned, I used my Benefit Hoola bronzer for my bronzer, and I also popped that into my crease. For my blush, I'm wearing the new Jouer Rose Gold Blush Duo. It's so freaking pretty. And for my highlighter, this beautiful glow, which I was not expecting, is this Beauty Creations Angel Glow highlight palette. I've had this in my collection for a while. I think I've maybe even used it once before, but wow, I was kind of like, okay. I think it's like really affordable as well. I can't remember where I bought it from, but I used these two shades up here for my cheeks, and then I took the darker shade in here and put that on my lids, and it's freaking beautiful. I'm really happy with the way like my look came out. And for my lips, I'm wearing the Dose of Colors and I Love Sarahi collection Nude Chica. I feel like all the colors, they just complement each other. Feeling my look. So back to the sponges, like my final thoughts, like are they worth it? Did they make a difference? I really can see a difference with like the application. I got more full coverage out of my foundation. It applied it really beautifully. There was no patchiness, streakiness. You don't see a texture on your skin. It's really smooth. It blends quickly and effortlessly. Like I really actually love this sponge a lot. This other sponge, I feel like I would probably use this the most. It is a lot softer and it's like a little bit more universal. This one's like a lot bigger. It does have a round butt, but I do like this shape a lot better. Another thing these sponges would be actually amazing for is taking it like with you to go like in your purse with a powder compact and touching up during the day. I get a lot of smile lines and lines in between my eyebrows that like I hate, and my makeup just creases and just looks a mess. And when I use my finger to kind of blend it out, it removes the makeup. Didn't really fix the problem. And if I use a regular sponge, sometimes that doesn't really help either. But because these are fuzzy, they pick up powder in a different way, and you can just kind of run it on your face, like blend it in, and it doesn't remove your makeup, and it just softens like any lines you have on your skin. I feel like this is gonna be like, even now, if I just go like this, done. Anyways, that is everything. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Definitely let me know your thoughts on these little sponges. Also, if you have any questions I didn't answer about the sponges in this video, feel free to leave them down below. As usual, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, mesijesibeauty, Instagram, Makeup by Jesi. Also, if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so before you go, and hit that little bell while you're at it so you're notified every time I post a new video. With all of that said, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!